before Egypt, before Babylon, before the pages of Genesis were written, there was Sumer, a lost civilization that claimed gods walked among men, that wrote of creation, a flood, and a garden long before Moses ever held a pen. But who were these ancient people? And were they mentioned, directly or indirectly, in the Bible? Tonight, we walk the cracked stones of Ur, trace the cuneiform echoes of kings and gods, and ask, were the Sumerians the ancestors of biblical legend, or the rivals of the true God? The Sumerians emerged in the land of Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers, modern-day Iraq. Around 4500 BC, they built the first true cities, Eridu, Uruk, Lagash, Nippur. They invented writing, cuneiform, etched into clay tablets that survive to this day. They built complex irrigation, law codes, schools, and ziggurats. Sumerian city-states were independent, yet culturally unified. Each had its own god, ruler, and temple economy. By 3100 BC, they had already created myths of gods descending from the heavens, kings ruling for thousands of years, and battles between heaven and earth. And then, like vapor, they were absorbed into Akkad, Babylon, and history. At the heart of Sumerian life was the temple, the ziggurat, the gods, Anu, god of the heavens, Enlil, the storm god and chief of the pantheon, Enki, god of water and knowledge, later linked with the serpent. They believed the gods created man, not out of love, but to bear the burdens of labor. The Sumerian divine council is eerily similar to the divine council of Psalm 82 and Job 1 in the Bible. The gods punished disobedience with floods. They selected kings. They demanded offerings. In this world, humans were pawns, and the gods were powerful, but not moral. Genesis 1-11 forms the biblical primeval history, a mysterious and compressed era. It speaks of Eden, of early humanity, of cities like Erech, Uruk, Akkad, and the land of Shinar, Sumer. Genesis 10:8-10 tells of Nimrod, the first mighty man, whose kingdom began in Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. That land? Ancient Sumer. Could Genesis be referencing Sumerian cities from the other side of history? Or did the Hebrews inherit and revise Sumerian memory through the lens of Yahweh? The most direct parallel between Sumerian and biblical text is the flood. The Epic of Gilgamesh, written around 2100 BC, tells of a man named Utnapishtim, warned by a god to build a great boat and save life from a divine flood. He releases birds, lands on a mountain, and receives immortality. Sound familiar? Genesis 6:6 tells of Noah, a righteous man saved by divine command, a global flood, a boat, animals, a dove. Are these two versions of the same memory? Or did the Bible borrow from Sumer? Or perhaps both drew from a real, cataclysmic event preserved across cultures. Genesis 11 speaks of a great tower built in Shinar 1 Umer 1, whose top reached the heavens. The Tower of Babel was likely a ziggurat one-stepped temple found across Mesopotamia. The text says God scattered the people, confused their language. But cuneiform records show dozens of languages in early Mesopotamia. Coincidence or confirmation? The Bible paints Babel as rebellion. The Sumerians saw it as divine order. Same event, different interpretation. Genesis 11:31 tells us Abraham was born in Ur of the Chaldees, a major Sumerian city. Archaeology confirms Ur was a wealthy, cosmopolitan city with schools, libraries, and temples. Abraham left all that to follow a new God. His journey is not just geographic, it's spiritual, from polytheism to monotheism, from a world of many gods to the God who speaks. Abraham may have been raised amid Sumerian myths, only to reject them for a higher truth. The Sumerians gave the world, Writing, schools, legal codes, astronomy, math, beer. They charted the stars with mathematical precision. They recorded diseases and treatments. Did the Hebrews absorb some of this knowledge during exile? Did Moses write Genesis with echoes of Sumerian myth, transformed by divine inspiration? The link between Sumer and Scripture is not plagiarism, it may be revelation through historical memory. So, were the Sumerians in the Bible? Yes and no. Their cities are named, their myths are echoed, their worldview is challenged and inverted. The Bible doesn't glorify Sumer, it redeems its history. It takes the scattered truths of the ancient world and centers them in Yahweh. Genesis, then, becomes a conversation, not just with God, but with history itself. The Sumerians walked before empires. Their shadows linger in scripture, in myth, in stone. But the question remains, did they remember fragments of truth lost in time? Or did God use even their rebellion to point us back to Eden? If this journey opened your eyes, subscribe to Hidden Histories for daily insights, ancient connections, and truths buried beneath the sands of time. History isn't just the past, it's the path back to the beginning.